Hiya guys and welcome back to the Average Pundits podcast, your home of all things Premier League, and today we are coming at you with our Team of the Season specials. It was only right that myself and Reese got a couple of guys in who watch a lot of football and know what they're talking about. Please, everyone, if you are on the podcast, you may remember them. You may remember them. But
you're talking about me, not Haas. He knows nothing, bro.
It's already coming in early. So we've got, if you're not familiar, we've got Mr. Hassan Kareem and Mr. Chris Stonage. Thank you very much for joining us, boys.
Absolute pleasure, problem, mate. Formerly a Total Sport because it's now dead.
No. It's not dead. It's not dead. It's dormant. It's dormant.
It's Mount Vesuvius. It's dormant. It's going to erupt again soon. Just we don't know in a good or a bad way.
Dormant's fine. Obviously, the channel will be listed below. Everyone, you can go and give that a little follow, give that a little like and sub. And as always, I am joined with Reese. How you doing, Reese?
Hello. So you mentioned in the intro that we were trying to look for people that watch a lot of football and know a lot about it. Those two weren't available, so we had to settle for Haas and Chris.
Yeah.
So
to be honest, I prefer the pub to the football, lads, especially at the moment.
I'm gonna say, the Premier League definitely this season. There's plenty to talk about, plenty of players to discuss. But without further ado, I'll take it over to you, Mr. Reese Williams, and we'll see what we can do.
Right then. So I'm rocking for those that are on the usual podcasting, Spotify or whatever. You can't see my fancy shirt, but I've rocked out the fancy shirt. So go on the video. It's Team of the Season, baby. Let's go. So I said last week. I said last week it was going to be big, and so the way that we're going to do this is we're going to go through the team individually. We're going to go through positions, then our honourable mentions, and then a few singular awards. Player of the Season, Best Manager award, the Overachiever, which is basically who we all thought was going to have a stinker and actually was all right. The disappointment of the season, the complete opposite, the worst signing of the season, and we'll finish. I'll probably switch around the order a little bit. We'll probably end with Player of the Season, but and then we've also got Best Signing as well. So I guess we'll start with the starting 11. We'll go for I don't know what position or what formations you guys have gone for, but.
I was going to try be exotic and go 5-2-3, but at the end of the day,
yeah.
I went for 4-3-3 because I'm boring.
Yeah, I went for the classic as well. I joined you on that.
It's just easy, isn't it? When it comes to these sort of Team of the Year things, it's easy just to stick 4-3-3 because it's not too much faffing about. I mean, I was initially going to go 3-4-3, but I thought I just can't.
4-3-3 standard.
So that kind of completes the vanilla quadrant. We've all gone boring. Well, that means we've all got goalkeepers. So Chris, start us off with your goalkeeper.
My goalkeeper is someone I'm sure none of you have gone for, because you'll get the typical the Edisons, maybe an Emi Martinez potentially, but I'm going to go for Kasper Schmeichel. I think what part of Leicester's defence this season, especially away from home, has been spectacular. And it's more in terms of recently in the mind, Kasper Schmeichel put in probably a man of the match performance at Wembley. So, and he's been a big part of what Leicester have been this year. So Kasper Schmeichel.
Swanky. Go on then, Joe. Who's your goalkeeper?
It's a hell of a shout going for Schmeichel, to be fair. Hell of a shout. I have gone vanilla, but I want to back it up. I have gone Ederson just because I feel like this season I thought there was always when it came to Alisson and Ederson, obviously everyone's 9 times out of 10 going for Alisson, and myself included in that argument. But this season, I think he's really stepped up. He's obviously had a rock solid defense in front of him to work with, which is fantastic for any competent goalkeeper. But I feel like there was just nobody better. His distribution from the box is just, to me, it's a myth. It's fantastic to watch. I think you could have easily again said Emi Martinez, as Chris mentioned. I think he's also been one of Villa's most prominent players, a fantastic goalkeeper in the Premier this season. But I just couldn't look beyond Ederson. I couldn't look beyond him. But I think Schmeichel, Emi, Ederson, 3 very good shouts. But I've gone with Ederson myself.
Ederson, yeah, I think Ederson was probably one of the more prominent choices. Haas, who have you gone with?
I've actually gone with Emi Martinez, seeing as they've discussed him both already quite a lot. I just thought his story was quite great. Went from essentially just not getting a look in at Arsenal at all to being one of, the leading keepers in the league this season for an Aston Villa team. It's been a bit, back and forth, especially as of late. To be amongst the top keepers for clean sheets and stuff like that is impressive. So, yeah, I chose Emi Martinez.
I have agreed with one of you, and that one is Joe. I've gone with Edison. Again, the boring out of the three, I think. I think
you can tell who the football hipsters are here, can't you?
Oh, look at me! I love Graham Potter.
I love Graham Potter. Don't go there, Reece.
Can't wait for Chris to play expected goals later in this episode.
That's how striker's going to be picked for Chris. So I think we'll move on to the right back. The right back of the team, one of the most important positions in the modern day of football. Joe, who have you gone with?
It was down to two. I wish I was going to say it was down to three. I love Aaron, but he wasn't in my two that I was looking for. I looked at West Ham. I looked at Soufal. I think he's been fantastic. But again, I have stayed with City with Cancelo because again, I feel like he has put in a hell of a stint on that right side. Obviously, City have been fantastic. There's going to be City players in our team. There's going to be City players, but they're in there for a reason. I think he was a bit of a when they were first signed him. I think a few people were kind of turning their head a bit and thinking, "Oh, okay, I don't really know if that's what you need right now. Maybe you've overspent a bit." But I mean, the guy can go forward well. The guy can defend. I think he was a hell of a signing, and I think he's going to be a good investment for City for a few years to come. So, João Cancelo for me, Reece.
Yeah, I mean, while he's in the mouth of everyone, I've also gone for João Cancelo. I mean, you could have exactly.
So have I.
Gone for a clean sweep.
No, it's not quite a clean sweep. I'm kind of cheating a bit because I've got a left back and a right back.
Oh no!
I've gone for Luca Digne there, okay, for some strange reason, because I couldn't justify putting him at left back over who I've chosen at left back. But again, another strong season from Luca Digne. He's amongst the top assisting defenders in the league, so I liked him there. So yeah, I'm breaking the mold, boys. I'm breaking the mold.
Yeah, you're picking an Everton player in team of the season.
I am.
Chris is.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Fight me. Catch some hands. Let's go.
I mean, if we could to compare João Cancelo to Luca Digne, I think
breaking the mold here, Ruiz. I'm breaking that mold, cracking it wide open. As
All Star once said in that song, only shooting stars break the mold. So
exactly, shoot some stars in the way of a Frenchman who plays left back, but now playing at right back over the Portuguese maverick.
would a right back would a left back with a prominent left foot be good in a right back position?
Just crossing and ping a shot over, mate. It's all gonna work.
He'd be absolutely awful at right back. He's not even good at left back. I don't understand why he'd be good at right back.
He's good at left back as well, but I couldn't justify the choice of who I've chosen.
He is bang average, mate. He's bang average.
Of course you're going to say that as a Liverpool fan. Of course you are.
Right then. Before we've got ourselves a Fury Joshua fight going on between Haas and Chris, we'll move over to the centre back positions. We'll move over to the first centre back position. Haas, I'll let you go first. Try and get your controversial opinion out of the way.
I don't actually have a controversial one for this one. I think it's quite blatantly obvious. Ruben Diaz has to be in that conversation. There's no two ways about it.
Yep.
He's coming. He's transformed defense. He's just a freak. He's just an utter freak.
If you don't have Diaz in.
If any of you three haven't got Diaz in your lineups, I might have to come and just probably glass you. I don't know, maybe.
You couldn't reach my head, bro.
It's big enough, pal. I'll reach it somewhere. Ruben Diaz just an absolute freak. I mean, he's shut down pretty much every attacker he's faced this season. Both in the Premier League, on the continent as well. He's just I don't know what more to say about him. He's just been so impressive. Can't say anyone else other than him for that first position.
Unanimous vote for Diaz then, yeah?
Yeah, get out there now. Everyone's got him, 100%.
Yeah. It was a close one. It was a close one for Nat Phillips, but
pick Nat.
We'll move over to the other centre back position then. I'm intrigued as to who you have at that other centre back position. Who's going to partner Ruben Diaz?
if you remember, Reece, we did a video for Total Sport, right?
Oh, yeah.
And we did a Premier League predictions. What we were thinking. I know it was all of us, wasn't it? And JT. Yeah. And I said that this guy would be. Oh no, it was the transfer window video. It was the transfer window one. It was
doesn't know his own content.
I literally, it's back there, all right.
This is why transfer window video, and I said.
That's why we're dead, bro. And I said that this guy was one of the best signings of the summer, and it's Wesley Fofana, and he's proven me absolutely right, and then some. Again, performance at Wembley is obviously going to cloud my mind a little bit, but he has been so good this year. And the fact is, the scary thing is, he's not even like in the top 5 young French centre halves. Like, it's ridiculous. He is so good, honestly. I would do anything to have him at Liverpool. And he's just proven it again and again this season.
Yeah, the scary thing about him, he's only 20. Like, I can't wrap my head around, like, he plays so maturely. I also have Wesley Fofana. I feel quite, quite good about myself agreeing with the football hipster, but yeah, we move. So, Haas, who have you got?
I've got the same as you boys. I've gone for Wesley Fofana as well.
Fofana.
Yeah, as you just said there, Reece, like, seriously plays way beyond his years for a kid that's just 20 years old. Just again, colossal has been probably the. I mean, it's. I feel hard. I feel like I'm doing Soyuncu a sort of a disservice by saying, without Fofana they wouldn't be where they are. But you probably could just make that argument. I mean, take him out of that team. Yes, Soyuncu is very good, but just Fofana's just insane. He's just insane. And
I don't want to get into the debate, but I think Johnny Evans is far better than Soyuncu, and Fofana's way better as well.
I was waiting for Johnny Evans to get mentioned because he needs some respect.
Kudos, yeah, like absolutely. He's been very good for for Leicester. I think that's essentially, but that's like a dick here. That's his level in a way. Obviously there were the links to Man City before he did go there. But for a club like that, I feel like that's perfect for him. And he's complemented that team perfectly. Just a shame he went off injured in the FA Cup final. I mean, I felt quite gutted for him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Go on then, Joe. Hit us with your pick.
I broke the mold. There were other options that there's honourable mentions here. I haven't gone for him. I think you boys have seen the results of United without him. Maguire deserves a mention. He's not in my team. He deserves a mention.
Well, Chris just did my reaction.
Deserves a mention.
Rolled his eyes straight into his head.
But no, the guy I've gone for, I think honestly, he's got to have been up in that conversation. You mentioned Soyuncu, Fofana, Johnny Evans, fantastic players. I think I've gone for John Stones. I think John Stones this season again, he was one of those guys in the conversation. I think considering he looked almost down and out. You've already got Aymeric Laporte. You signed Ruben Diaz. What is there left to do? You've completed defensive partnerships. It's fantastic. But then Laporte is the out. Stones steps up. And it's like he never left. It's like he's never fallen off. And because, there were rumours that, I think like Arsenal on loan or something like that. He was even going to be. Yeah. And then we see what he's done this season. I think Fofana or Stones, I think it was 100% out of those two. But, very, very worthy shouts either way. But I've gone with John Stones.
The strong links back along the back four so far for Joe there. A complete Manchester City back line so far.
I don't like it, mate, but there it is.
Yeah.
Right. So there's one defensive position left to go. The left back position. I want to throw it straight to Haas for this one. Who have you got for the left back?
I think it can only be one answer. It has to be Luke Shaw, shortly.
I thought you were going to go for Luca Digne again.
Just double it. Why not?
Nah, he's gonna go for like who's Everton's right back?
Seamus Coleman.
Mate, don't Coleman.
He can go left back.
Coleman's a legend, mate. Coleman's an underrated legend. No, I've gone for Luke Shaw. What a turnaround he's had. He looked pretty much finished probably a year, maybe 2 ago. Completely out of favour. He's dropped out for Brandon Williams not that long ago, and now all of a sudden, he's amongst Europe's top 5 for chances created. That in itself is impressive when you're standing next to Leo Messi for your chances created. Most chances created by a defender in the league. Just insane. And even his defensive numbers are super impressive. So overall, yeah, Luke Shaw has to be the best left back probably in the Premier League this season comfortably, I think.
Go on then, Chris.
Yeah. 100% agree. It's not something I like to say, especially because I think Andy Robertson pre Christmas was unreal, but I think he's had a massive burnout. Understandably, because he's probably the only player in that team who's actually played pretty much every single game, which is understandable. But sure, I mean, it's a bit like Stones. Like everyone, he was a bit of a meme. Like he's a fat left back, you know, who didn't like and scapegoated.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know if I went there, but he's a meme, isn't he? Like, and then all of a sudden he's turned into this really, really world-class left back this season.
Exactly. You know, Fat Frank Lampard is now the current day meme of Luke Shaw, or what Luke Shaw was back in the day. So Joe, I'm guessing the resident United fan, you've gone with Luke Shaw.
Couldn't be anyone else, mate. Everything's been said. You know, what a turnaround. Tellez was brought in. Maybe not the most prominent European left back we could have gone for, but he league winner with Porto, Galatasaray as well. But Tellez comes in to that considered it. Luke Shaw was down and out, and then he's pushed him. He's been the gaslight to basically make sure the player we knew he could be, because that potential was always there. He was just really unfortunate with the injuries. But I honestly I couldn't, like, it's weird to say like they're prouder, but like obviously if he's come up, it's fantastic, and he's playing at the level he needs to now, and hopefully he's going to have a nice, good quality Euros under his belt very soon. So 100% Luke Shaw to complete the back four.
The second clean sweep of the video. I've also gone for Luke Shaw. There's no one else. There's no other left back that's quite like Luke Shaw. Not even Luca Digne. But I think that kind of moves us away from the defense. That's quite a tidy back five. I think we've kind of all relatively, you know, sort of agreed on a back five, or at least the back four defensively. The goalkeeper's a little up in the air. But centre, I've gone for, obviously, we've all gone for 4-3-3. But in mine, I've gone for a CDM. And my first one is Thomas Souček, who I think has had an absolutely unreal season. Between him and Rice, it was definitely going to be between in the centre defensive midfield role. Chris, who have you gone for?
Same as, mate. Thomas Souček. Great minds think alike. He's been the refreshed Marouane Fellaini. And he's genuinely, he's become someone who no one expected to come through. I'm sure now that all clubs are sending their scouts to the Czech Republic, because West Ham have pulled out two absolute gems there that no one knew about. But his goal record in Czech Republic is unbelievable as well. He scored 16 goals in his last season at Slavia Prague. So, like, yeah, it's not luck with Souček. He's going to continue being this good and maybe even get a bigger move.
Yep. He's like, what, 25 maybe now? Like he's maturing. Yeah. He's one of the best central defensive midfielders in the league. Haas, who have you gone for?
I also have chosen Thomas Souček. Just all round dynamo of a player. Just he seems to do it all from there. I mean, the fact he's got 9 open play goals as well is just equally impressive. So yeah, you know, fantastic player, fantastic bit of business from West Ham. They just can't seem to do anything wrong this season, can they? Absolutely not.
So Joe, who have you got? We've all gone for Souček in that kind of holding midfield role. Who have you gone for?
I've gone for my. I'm going to kind of show my hand earlier. I don't mind saying it because I'll back it up later. Season. I have gone for Ilkay Gundogan from Manchester City. I think again he has been revolutionary. I couldn't turn on a Man City game without seeing him score. Genuinely, every other game he was scoring. It was fantastic. And honestly, this season he has been all over the pitch in a team that's had the likes of Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Ruben Diaz, amazing players all over the pitch. Gundogan to me has been absolutely fantastic. So that's my first of the midfield three.
Joe is slowly completing Manchester FC over there. Not gone for a single player outside of Manchester. Yeah. To be fair, you can't argue.
Do it, mate. I'm finding it so far.
They're the top two teams in the league for a reason. So there you go.
They've been up there, mate. Been up there.
There you go. To be fair, that kind of moves me on to my next centre midfielder. I have also gone for Ilkay Gundogan. I think that he's been unreal this season. Kind of a resurgence if we're talking about those for Luke Shaw and John Stones. Ilkay Gundogan also had like a resurgence. He had a few years where he wasn't as good. He wasn't the favoured centre midfielder at Man City, and now he's just burst straight back onto the scene, and he's made himself known again. So yeah, that's my second centre midfielder in this team. Haas, who have you gone for?
I've also gone for a Man City midfielder, but it's not Ilkay Gundogan. It is Kevin De Bruyne, because that's the most vanilla and boring choice you can go for, but I just can't ignore them, man. Most goal involvement in City's entire team, which is impressive in itself. And just an all-round freak, man, to be honest. He seems to just lift that benchmark a bit higher and higher and higher every season. And considering he's not actually played that many games this season, it's just incredible. I can't remember whether the stat is still up to date right now, but the last time I checked, he was involved in something like 30% of City's goals, which is just outrageous, genuinely outrageous. So yeah, that's my choice.
Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah, he's an unbelievable talent. You can't exactly argue with that. Chris, who have you gone for?
Well, the thing is, I did have Ilkay Gundogan in, but because I want to be different, I've changed it up. I've gone for a little bit of Macy Mount from Chelsea. He's had a wonderful season. He honestly has. And people write him off as Frank Lampard's son, right? But I tell you what, he's played as a false 9. He played as a right wing back. He played in midfield. His best position's an 800%. But honestly, he's been Chelsea's best player this season, in my humble opinion. And he'll only go on and cement himself as, people say, it's a Foden, it's a Greenwood world. Mason Mount's only a couple of years older, and he's just as good, if not better, at the moment. So I definitely go for Mason Mount in that midfield. I'm sorry, Ilkay Gundogan, if you are listening. I did have you in, but you got to go for the yeah, boy.
I'm glad someone else brought the dance. I'm glad someone else brought the dance, and I love how the fact that you've kind of labelled Mason Mount in his positions as playing with the number jacks as a number 9, a number 10, a number. He's about to start counting out number 1, trying to teach kids how to count. So Joe, complete the secondary midfielder.
Mason Mount would be a fantastic call. I think Yuri Tielemans would have been a fantastic call, but again, I don't like it, but I'm sticking with City. I'm agreeing with Haas, KDB. He's one of the best players to ever grace the modern format of the Premier League. He will go down as, record book kind of player. One of City's, modern icons. You've got Kompany, you've got Aguero, David Silva, these kind of players that are flying the flag. I'm sure there's more I haven't mentioned there. It would be a crime not to say. But Kevin De Bruyne, again, every season, the man is consistent. He looked a bit slow at the start of the season. You're thinking, maybe.
Yeah,
And all of a sudden, all of a sudden, bang, and he's gone. But yeah, Kevin De Bruyne, I'll go for.
Just can't believe Chelsea let him go. Like, that still bugs me now.
But then if you think about it, he would never have got in that team anyway. And he did the best thing. He did the best thing for himself. He did the best thing for himself.
But that blows my mind still. And then when he came back, I can't remember which paper it was. It was the Daily Mail or something, like the £60 million reject or the flop or something. I was like, oh my word.
Crazy.
Don't they look silly? Don't they look silly?
They always look silly. Both of them collectively.
Yeah. Collectively, Tory papers look silly.
So that kind of brings us to the last midfielder. And by what I'm going off, I think we all know who we're going to go for. And we've actually been joined by our last pick. It's Bruno Fernandez.
Bruno Fernandez!
It seems like you've grown your hair out so that people don't draw that comparison anymore.
No, I've grown it out and then since been likened to Sami Khedira by a few people. I can't fucking win.
You've got a little Yossi Ben Ayoun about you,
Don't say that, please. Don't say that.
Yossi Ben
Ayoun. In the last 3 weeks, obviously adding that one from Chris. Just I've had Pirlo, B-Tech Pirlo, and Sami Khedira now as well, and that. So I just seem to look like a lot of people.
What a trio.
Pirlo I'll take. I can take that. Khedira I just don't.
Oh, it's actually so like you.
No, my hair's better than that.
Fantastic.
It can't be
I didn't
like
think
the Liverpool player. It makes me want to sew up.
I didn't think we'd hear Yoshi Benayoun on this podcast, Reece. I don't know about you.
I think that's the first mention of Yoshi Benayoun.
Hopefully the last as well.
I'm definitely going to throw up a side by side right now, just so everyone at home watching the YouTube video can see a side by side comparison of Yoshi Benayoun and Hassan Karim. So coming back from that tangent, Yoshi Benayoun, Bruno Fernandez, Sami Khedira, who have you got as your centre midfielder?
List as well. Yeah, no, I've obviously gone for Bruno, of course. Just can't look past him. You know, put in a stupid amount of goal involvement. Just been named United's Player of the Year again for the second year running. Just an incredible player, just genuinely an incredible player. I can't believe United actually picked him up without being rivaled, to be honest. And he look the superstar that he is. So can't really think of anyone else who deserved that position, other than him.
I think everyone is in agreement with Haas there, right? Bruno Fernandes.
Everyone.
I hate to say it because I can't stand the little rat, but
He's a great player, man. He's a great player.
But honestly, he's such a good player. He's ridiculous. I don't think he's as good as Kevin De Bruyne, but I think that this season he's had a greater impact.
Yeah, it's arguable, definitely arguable. I mean, I don't think anyone expected him to have quite the impact that he's had. But yeah, he's just been an utter superstar since, and you do sort of wonder, like, depending on where United go as a project, will they keep hold of him for that, that reason in that sense?
Yep. So yeah, that kind of moves us on to the attackers, the front three. We'll probably go with the wingers first, and then we'll end with the striker before we move on to the individual awards. So I think we'll start on the left, to the left. Everything you own in a box to the left. It's the left wing spot. Joe, who have you got?
Do you want me to? You're going to start with me. Okay, fair enough. So we'll keep it in Manchester. Why not? Just for the fun of it at this rate. I've gone for Marcus Rashford. Now that's debatable. I know people could maybe throw a few options in there. I've gone for Rashford. I think again he's been United's most prominent wing-based attacker. We've got a lot of work to do. And I want to see JS7 this summer. We were so convinced it was happening last summer. It fell through. I want to see it this summer. It's going to happen. I swear to God.
But you've got EC7, mate. Why do you want JS7? You got EC7.
Mate, honestly, we'll talk about Eddie in a bit because obviously that man's getting tattooed, there. Well, what an absolute hero. Just all over here. Now, Rashford, Rashford's got to be Marcus, mate, for me. I think he's had a great season. Our most prominent, probably the lesser of the front three for me personally, but I still think he deserves to be in there. So I'll go for Rashford.
He's definitely had a good season. He's in my honourable mentions, but he's not quite made my team. But before I get a word in, Haas, who have you gone with?
So left wing, we're cheating a bit again here, boys.
Oh no! What? Stop it!
I've gone for Jamie Vardy.
What?
It was Jamie Vardy's account. Because it just had to be done. I don't know. I'm drawn to Vardy again. I don't know. I just think he's been solid for Leicester this season, as he always bloody is. Without him, they wouldn't be where they are. So, Jamie Vardy.
Well, I completely disagree with you, Husker.
Of course you would. That's the whole point of this. Now, carry on.
Kelechi Iheanacho's got more goals for Leicester than Vardy has this year.
We'll get to him later because I'm going to bring him up later. But yeah,
I've gone for a player based in Manchester actually. I don't know if it's cheating because he has played there this season. I've gone for Phil Foden. I think this is the emergence of a generational talent. I am so jealous that Manchester City have him.
Yeah.
He is honestly. People have been drawing like, oh, is he the same level as Mbappe? Of course he's not. Mbappe's been doing it on top level for the last 4 years. But Phil Foden, I just think this year he's broken through. He's actually single-handedly won games for Manchester City in Europe and in the Premier League. I mean, his performance at Anfield was, I don't even want to talk about it. It gives me nightmares, So yeah, Phil Foden for me.
Wow. So I thought there was going to be more for where I'm coming from, and I've gone with Heung-min Son, who I think has had an absolutely unbelievable season. I think 17 goals, and 10 assists, 27 goal contributions for Son this season. That Son and Kane connection, the Spurs duo up top have been absolutely unbelievable, especially at the start of the season. So I'm surprised that no one had quite gone with him. Phil Foden was actually in my honourable mentions too.
The thing with Son for me is that he had, yeah, as you say, the most incredible start. But in Spurs' time of need, he hasn't really been there this year. I think he's fallen off, especially in the last 3 to 4 months. He's been quite poor, being honest with you. And whether that sort of he's in my honourable mention. He's actually the first name in it. So
that was the same case for me. I think Son deserves 100%. He deserves the credit, but for me personally, like a bit like what Chris said, I think there's been times where they've needed somebody to step up and be that guy, especially when Kane possibly isn't being that guy at the time where the Kane's out, and occasionally he's failed to meet that mark. I think he's a fantastic player, world-class player in my opinion, but I think I'm still sticking with Marcus over Son.
Did anyone actually think about putting Jack Grealish in the team?
I did, yeah, I did quite heavily. But the injury layoff for such a prolonged period of time just kind of soured it for me. Not to take away from the fact that he was freaking ridiculously good when he was, on song fit and, pretty much dragging Villa through. But yeah, it's hard to keep him in considering he's been out for what? It's good little chunk of time.
I only played 24 games this season, so you can't really.
Yeah, it's tough. But I mean, in that same breath, De Bruyne's not played that many more, if not around the same. But obviously, involvements-wise, he's been considerably better in that regard. But yeah, no, definitely, I did come close to putting Grealish in. He was literally on the teetering on the edge, but that absence has just kind of spoiled it a bit for me.
Yeah, I was the same. Like I was like with a couple of these on, either they haven't played as much or they have played for a team or they haven't played as good as a player. Like Jack Grealish has been out for a lot of time. Foden has had the chances, but I don't think has been up to the level as some of the players that have been on this list. Emi Martinez is in my honourable mentions from earlier as well. But yeah, I think for me, Son probably is on that left-hand side as well. To be honest, anyone that we've named there can be put on that left-hand side, other than Jamie Vardy. But we'll move on. We'll move on to the right-hand side.
See, with that, you could have picked Harvey Barnes. You could have picked Harvey Barnes.
Oh, it's Harvey
Barnes. No, okay. Pick the number 9. Go on the left.
Yes, he's got the pace to do it, man. It's fine.
You've basically done what Roy Hodgson did.
Yeah, break mold.
Football visionary. So yeah, we'll move over to the right-hand side. I'll go first because it's finally my time to stick a Liverpool player in the team. It's Mo Salah, who I hope the rumours aren't true that he's wanting to leave, but Mo Salah. I mean, he's been Liverpool's best player, and he's been unbelievable. He's been unbelievable for the last 3 or 4 years. So I think that he's been, definitely one of the players to. He was one of the first names on the sheet, if I'm being honest. So, Chris, Mo Salah.
Mo Salah. Mo Salah every day. I mean, you can't ignore the fact that Liverpool have had, by their very high standards in the last 3 years, a shocking season, and that's down to a number of issues. But the one of the 2 men, in my opinion, that have really withheld their standards. Him and Fabinho, the 2 that I put Fabinho in my honourable mentions, but the 2 that have withheld their world-class standards throughout the season Salah hasn't got injured. He scored 22 goals this season once again. He's got 30 goals in all competitions. Do I speak anymore?
What more can you ask from the man? Yeah, what more can you ask him? I mean, it's just ridiculous. 30 goals again for how many seasons running now? 3 straight, back to back to back.
He didn't get it last season, but he got it in 17, 18, 18, 19, and now 2021.
So it's ridiculous. You can't ask any more. I mean, he's literally had to carry that attack by himself, quite literally, with little help. So yeah, I mean, that kind of spoils my suggestion, doesn't it? Salah's also in mine. Couldn't take it away from him.
Yeah, Joe, who have you got on that right-hand side?
Yeah, no, it's Salah across the board. I think realistically, it's almost, a shame really, because he deserves, in my opinion, now to be in the same conversations as some of the best to grace the Premier League.
Yeah,
I mean, it's horrible to me. I mean, I hate it. I hate how good he is, but he is just consistently phenomenal. And genuinely, some of the stuff that he does in games, the audacity on the pitch, it's fantastic. Genuinely, he's somebody that would make any Premier League club better. Any Premier League club, Man City could go and make Man City better. He is that good. So I hate to say it, but Salah, yeah, you can't look beyond it, can you? He's got to be in there.
The streak's broken. It's taken 10 players for Joe to name someone other than Manchester United or Man City players.
And it was Liverpool as well. Shocking. Shocking.
But yeah, Mo Salah, you can't deny his talent. I mean, he can even play up front. He could play striker. He's proved that he can play in the centre as well. So he's going to be.
And he has actually played there, Hassan, like Luca Dean and Jamie Vardy.
You have to tinker. You got to be a tinker, man.
Right. I'll put this into perspective, Haas, right? Would you play Karim Benzema out on the left?
He can. He does.
He doesn't have the pace to play out on the left. Yeah, Vardy has the pace.
But he does.
Sidetrack.
He actually does. That's the best part. He actually does.
Oh.
I'll show you a heat map of Benzema's after this, and you'll see he plays on the left a lot.
He's not best utilised there, though, is he?
He best utilise wherever the freaking hell he wants to play. You want to play at CDM, he'll freaking do it, and he'll do a freaking good job.
Well, speaking of world-class strikers, like Benzema is, we'll move on to the striker position. There have been plenty of strikers that have lit the world on fire. Joe, I'll come to you first. Who have you got in that striker position?
Yeah, I've gone for, if the papers are true, Manchester City's new signing, Mr. Harry Kane.
Let's go!
Yeah, genuinely. Again, fantastic. Push. I think he's one of the most complete players. I think he's one of the most complete. His vision is fantastic, goal scoring fantastic, and he carries Spurs, doesn't he? Absolutely carries them. So, Kane. There it is, Kane.
In the words of Danny Aarons' mum, boom, shake that room. Yes. Yeah, I've gone with Harry Kane. Harry Kane is definitely one of those. He's been unbelievable. He's the top goal scorer for a reason.
And top assister.
There we go. He's just a complete package. I was one of those people back in today saying that Kane would not be able to do it season in, year in, year out. And don't I look like a fool? But yeah, Harry Kane is definitely, again, probably one of the first names on the sheet because he's been Spurs' best player, for the fifth year in a row now. When doesn't he stop? And like Joe said, he's probably going to be Man City's best player next year as well. So Chris, who have you gone for?
Kane.
It's got to be Kane. Just the one line. Haas, are you in agreement?
It'll be a Maverick. Chris Wood. No, I'm joking. It's not Chris Wood.
Hey, can we put some respect on Chris Wood's name?
To be fair, the man's got double-digit goals for Burnley this season. That's impressive.
He's done it every single year he's been at Burnley. Chris Wood is top quality. I say this all the time. I don't get it why he gets slandered. He's quality. I love him.
He plays for literally the worst club in the entire country. And that includes freaking Sunday League teams as well. God, I hate Burnley. It has to be Harry Kane, big Harold Kane. Just again, as you said, Reece, literally carries Spurs on his back to the point that they've destroyed his hamstrings and his Achilles. And if he stays there any longer, we'll probably destroy his ACLs next. Yeah, literally, he literally just carries them. If you take Kane out of that team, I don't think Spurs make top 10, if I'm being brutally honest. They're just nowhere with him. And without him, sorry, even nowhere with him. That would be interesting. He literally does just... He's pretty much carried them on his back for I don't know how long now. So I don't blame him for literally getting fed up and thinking, screw this, I'm going to go somewhere where my talent's going to actually get rewarded. So, what's he got the record now for the most goals scored without winning the title?
Yeah.
The most unwanted record you could ever possibly have. It's mental. The man deserves silverware for how good he is. And to be fair, Reece, I was a bit like you. I mean, not from the sense I didn't think he could do it, year in, year out, but more the sense after the injury started to pile up, I was like, he's done. His legs are made of cheese. He's finished. To quote the Irish guy in some weird way. Yeah, so I just genuinely thought the injuries, he probably peaked a bit early and will kind of end up a bit like Rooney in that sense and just peter off little by little. But no, he's transformed his game and he's added this surreal realm of being able to pass the ball at like freakishly good ability.
Yeah.
Which, is only going to aid him when he inevitably pairs up with Pep Guardiola next season.
I think Trent Alexander-Arnold, Kevin De Bruyne, and Harry Kane are three of the best passers in world football. I mean, they're all in the same league.
I wouldn't put Kane anywhere near those two lads.
As a forward,
no way.
As a forward, maybe not as an overall player, but if you were to call him the best striker, maybe up there. But
maybe I genuinely right. This is my opinion on Harry Kane. Right, wonderful player, to one of the best strikers in the world. Not the best, one of the best. Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't call him the
but the thing is, if he doesn't play well, his entire team doesn't play well. You notice that with Tottenham. If Kane's not on his game, they're finished. That might be something. That might be something to do with both parties. Which is what worries me about him going to Man City. He's very, very, very different to Sergio Aguero, and he's very, very different to Gabriel Jesus. I don't think he'll flourish in the same way because they will not build a team around him like Tottenham have done. So, yeah, he's unbelievable, and he's one of the best strikers this league has seen. But whether he's as adaptable as people think he is, I don't know.
So clean sweep for Harry Kane. I mean, he's good. To be fair, I don't know. I think like positionally, Trent's the best passer in terms of defense. Obviously, Kevin De Bruyne is the best passer in the midfield. I think, if you go like that, then Kane is that third spot. But I don't know. It could be again, like to mention earlier. There's a reason why Roy Hodgson put him on corners in the Euros. So he must be doing something right. So
his voice is too much of a maverick for his own good.
Let's go! So that kind of brings us to the end of the round out of the full 11. Are there any other honourable mentions that that you guys have that
I've got about 12.
We'll be here for the next hour, Chris. Come on
then. So I mentioned some of them already: Son, Mount, Fabinho, Kufal, Harvey Barnes, De Bruyne, Edison, Stones, Grealish. The ones we haven't mentioned: Sam Johnston from West Brom. I think if it wasn't for him, they'd be the worst team ever. Calvert-Lewin. He's an Everton player. That's why he didn't get in. And Patrick Bamford. Who the hell thought that he would do so well this season? 15 Premier League goals. I mean, ridiculous. A man who's had a really quietly brilliant season, Wilfried Zaha. 12 goals and 8 assists this season for Crystal Palace in a team that's not done so well. Jesse Lingard, of course, for his last half season. And Ezri Konsa as well, I put in, because Aston Villa look a lot worse without him.
Yeah, that is a shout. Konsa's specifically a shout. I think he's, again, fantastic player at Villa. Great shout for Konsa.
Well then, Joe, you can continue with any of your honourable mentions that you've had for your team.
We've gone through a lot of them. There's just a couple that I feel like that really maybe need a bit more highlighting. I think Yuri Tielemans, I think, has been very good. We've mentioned him, but just to reiterate, Chris mentioned Lingard. I think it's got to be said, half a season he's done very well. I think Declan Rice as well. Declan Rice, I think, again, has been another great player over at West Ham. I think what West Ham season, I think what they've done can't be underestimated. It's fallen off a bit towards the end. It was always going to be tough. But, there's a lot of players to mention at West Ham. So I think West Ham in general, there's more to talk about with them later, but that completes my mentions, really.
Moyes deserves a lot of credit. Haas, are there any other honourable mentions that you've gone for?
Yeah, top man. I mean, as we mentioned before, Grealish, I think, definitely amongst that list. Had he just played that little bit more, somebody that I would have probably thrown into the list. Ollie Watkins, I want to throw in there as well. I've been quite impressed by him this season. Quite enjoyed him this season as well.
Just like I say, I said it before the season started, but no.
You did, yeah. To be fair, mate, you did. I didn't expect him to kind of do as well as he had done. I want to put Riyad Mahrez in there as well. I've been quite impressed by Riyad Mahrez as well this season. Really, been a big player for City in a lot of senses. So those are a few that really stick out for me here. So yeah, that's kind of it. The rest of them pretty much been covered.
Yeah, I think the majority of my honourable mentions have kind of been covered. Marcus Rashford, Jack Grealish, like everyone said, if he'd have played those extra games, he might have got in there. You might have had your left winger there to stick in the team. Phil Foden is generational talent. Emi Martinez, he could have. It was a toss up between him and Edison. Kevin De Bruyne, he missed out on my starting team, but I think that Gundogan and Bruno Fernandez has been slightly better this year. And then obviously you got your little Macy Mount as the last kind of honourable mention there. So that kind of brings us out around the roundabouts of the team of the season. I think we should start with some individual awards. And we'll start off with the Debbie Downers. We'll start off with the ones that we don't like and the kind of negative ones. So there've been lots of hype around certain players this season. We're gonna start with the disappointment of the season. Players that may have got overhype and they've crapped their bed. Haas, we'll come to you first.
If you say what I think you're going to say, I will spark you out.
I just want to know what you're going to say. I'm curious. What do you think I was going to say?
You say first. You talk.
No, go on, spit it out.
No. Talk.
You opened your mouth. Spit it out.
I'll just continue, bro, and we'll see.
Well, he just gets thumbs and good vibes. That's all he does. Thiago.
Shut up! I'll fight you. Watch football.
What's he done?
Watch football, bro. Watch football.
He's not added much of a dimension to your team, to be honest to you. Just hasn't done enough for all the hype that was garnered. He hasn't added enough for me.
I can't believe what you just said.
I hate to pile on, mate, but I'm backing Haas. I hate to pile on. I have
Watch
to.
football, Joe.
Mate,
I expected so much better.
I apologise, but honestly, when you brought him in, I was thinking, oh my god, every other Premier League club has dropped the ball because he is fantastic. We all know what he can do, but the amount of times that I've been waiting in watching Liverpool for something from him, some piece of beautiful football, something that we were seeing in the Champions.
I mean, all you'd have to do is watch the game at Old Trafford on Thursday night.
Yeah, there's been glimpses.
Yeah.
But for a 38-game season, I mean, okay, he's been injured for some of it, but generally speaking, I just don't think he was impressive enough for the fact that people are best signing of the summer. Which is just...
It's not that. The thing is, right, and I will continue to debate. I will debate until the day is done with Thiago. He has added so much to what Liverpool have been, especially in the last 2 to 3 months. Maybe at the start, maybe in January, February, March, wasn't great. His style didn't really fit. But I tell you what, the way that he plays football, he just, mate, it's sort of like
I'm not debating that.
Yeah, I know. But in the last few months, especially in this unbeaten run, which is the longest in the Premier League at the moment, he has been, like since the Real Madrid game, actually, since we played you and he didn't play, he's been our best player by a long way.
Yeah, he finished stronger. Yeah, okay, I'll give you that. He's finished stronger, but that first bit of the season, he just wasn't good enough.
Go on then, Chris. Who have you gone
Sorry.
for? Who have you gone for?
I'd have to go to the other side of the other side of the Mersey, and James Rodriguez for me.
Why would you say that?
I think at the start of the season,
why would you say that?
It's completely opposite. It's completely the opposite to Thiago, right? Start of the season, he was insane, incredible. I was eating all of my words. Been shit since. If you want to overlay that, I think right with Everton, you need someone as a talisman. They need someone there, and since October when they won the league, they haven't. He has not been there and been reliable enough for them as that talisman that they bought in on all of that money. So for me, James Rodriguez is one of the biggest disappointments. And also Donny van der Beek is another one.
That's been a lot of flop because of Ollie, though, to be fair, because Ollie's an idiot.
The frustration of not being able to see him get a game, and it's going to be a lot harder for him to break into this team now.
No, I think you'll sell him before he starts getting back in the team consistently. I think he'll be gone by January next season.
Maybe. I don't doubt it. I mean, it could happen, but I've got faith. I've got to pray. But I mean, for James Rodriguez, I can understand where Chris is coming from to an extent with it. I feel like he came with like people knew what he was about, but he was slowing down a little bit anyway. And people were like, oh, okay, wonder if he can do it at Everton. I think he caught the doubters by surprise. I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? But then he kind of petered out to average performances for a lot of
yeah. But I mean, considering they didn't pay a fee for him, I don't think they actually did pay a fee for him. So it's just wages, because I'm pretty sure I read reports that they actually paid nothing for him fee wise. So on that basis, it's one of those, like, I'd say they wouldn't get their full value for money. They got pretty good value for money.
I think we've all gone for creative midfielders there as well, because I've not agreed with any of you, and I've gone for quite an obvious pick. Well, I thought it was quite an obvious pick. I've gone for Kai Havertz, who just, I thought, because I was crying out for, potentially a Thiago type player, creative midfielder that's going to help, play the ball through, thread the needle. And I thought Kai Havertz was going to be that, especially bringing in Timo Werner and Kai Havertz, the German connection. But I know, I get he's young, I get he's trying to get the chemistry with the team and stuff. But I just think that the hype for Kai Havertz's signing, one of the most expensive ones over the transfer window, I can't back it. I think he's not had a great season at all.
I think you could have picked either one of Chelsea's signings, those two big signings. You could have picked either one and would have been correct with that, because
you could have even picked Hakim Ziyech, because he hasn't really done that much.
He's been awful as well. Like, what's he added? Nothing.
The thing is with Havertz is that that one day he will turn up and it will happen for him. I think his best position is up front. I think he's a number 9. I don't know whether he'll get that at Chelsea, because if you look at how well he played for Leverkusen last season, I mean, everyone became a Bundesliga nerd in May last year. I watched every single Bayer Leverkusen game. Kai Havertz was unbelievable. He was so good. I was like, this is the perfect Bobby Firmino replacement. That's his best position for me. So I don't know whether he'll get that at Chelsea, obviously with the potential for, who have they got up front at the moment?
Timo
Werner. Timo Werner. I'm a bit stupid. They've got Abraham and they've got, who's probably going to leave. And they've got Giroud, who's also probably going to leave. But they'll probably bring in a big striker. They won't have the patience for Havertz, and that's why I think he made the wrong decision.
Well, to be fair, you raised that point though, but surely if Timo's struggling on his own and Havertz is that number 9 position, surely they can play 2 up front. Play Havertz and Timo there.
I'd love to see that.
They can go off each other, right?
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? You'd hope for that. I mean, Timo Werner, like Chris was saying, last season the Champions League, he had eyes on him and he was absolutely fantastic. He was sensational. And I think that is going to come. I think that'll happen at Chelsea for him. Timo Werner's more of a replaceable risk factor. I think Liverpool would have probably, for me, have been a better home for Timo Werner than Chelsea would have done. But they've got him now, and he can still do it. I think maybe a second season. We'll have to see. Maybe a second season could do it.
Right then. So that kind of rounds out the disappointment of the season. We'll kind of go over to the worst signing of the season, the ones that were either brought in either in the summer or in January that have had zero impact on the league whatsoever. Haas, will come to you first.
I'm gonna go with Hakim Ziyech. I don't think he's done for all that. I mean, I was excited to see him in the Prem. Like, I've liked Hakim Ziyech for a while. Just hasn't done anything that's really got me up and thought, yeah, great. Like, nothing at all. Like, he's not done anything of note whatsoever. I mean, how many sort of moments can you pick out and say, that game he controlled it, or that was a tremendous goal, or that was an incredible bit of vision? There's not been anything really of note for him to write home about and say, Mom, Dad, look at this. Literally nothing. Absolutely nothing. So, for all the hype around him, they didn't pay much for him. What was it, 25, 30 million quid, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
And I was touting that as one of the better signings of that window. Just hasn't worked out for whatever reason.
Yeah, to be fair, like when you got a talent like Ziyech, like I've never really fully rated him. Like I've kind of held him as like the same regard as like Dusan Tadic, like when Ajax had that really good run in the Champions League. Like I've never been on that Tadic train at all, like because I've always seen him as the player that played for Southampton and just never really rated him. So, Chris, we'll go over to you next. Who's your worst signing of the year?
I think it was the worst. Mine's the worst matching of a player and a club that you could imagine. I was touting this as one of the best signings last summer because I personally absolutely adore this man. And it's Ryan Brewster to Sheffield United. 25 million quid they paid for him, and unfortunately, it's just not worked for him. He could have done so much better going to Brighton. Look at their XG, right? Ryan Brewster.
Get in the bin.
Well, listen, Brighton have been crying out for a proper striker. Ryan Brewster is that. We all know he's capable. Okay, he's proven it, but he's just to the wrong club at the wrong time, man. Sheffield United are on a downward spiral. Brighton are on an upward spiral. Look, he would have been done a lot better, and I wished he had stayed at Liverpool. He'd have got minutes this season. He'd have got ahead of Origi. He's much higher quality than Divock Origi ever will be. Whatever anyone says, even though he's won a Champions League, scored in the final, Brewster's a much better player. But yeah, it's just such a shame. Hopefully he'll score some goals in the Championship next season if no one picks him up.
I don't think he's that good.
Oh mate, he's so good.
I've never thought he was that good. Like you'd see like the Liverpool versus FIFA videos from Soccer AM, and he always thought his rating should be higher. I think he's massively overrated.
Mate, I watched him when he was from when he was 18. He's something special, that kid.
Like, at least he was in the Football World Cup, and then he's just done nothing since.
Yeah.
Joe, we'll come to you finally for the worst signing of the season.
I'm exactly the same as Chris, but I think I'm a bit more like you. I'm a bit more heavily critical of Ryan Brewster. I think it's an appalling move from Sheffield. You could have equally, I think, in my opinion, put Aaron Ramsdale in that conversation. Because I also think, obviously, you're replacing Dean Henderson after the season he just had. That's not going to be easy. But Ramsdale, I think, young player, room to grow, but awful season. But Ryan Brewster, who on earth okayed that deal at Sheffield? For me, in my opinion, he scored like a banger when he was in the Championship. I think that's the only highlight reel I've ever seen of Ryan Brewster. Obviously, Chris has followed it a lot more. He's seen him at youth level. He knows, and I have no doubt in my mind that at youth level he could do that. But whether he can translate that now, he's down in the Championship now. The Championship is an underrated league. It's scrappy. You've got to go at there. You've got to make yourself known in that league, because you could, fingers crossed for him, he can get back up to the Prem and be someone that people can, he could prove the doubters wrong. But for me, it has to be Brewster again. I think it was awful.
I think the model that Brewster has to follow is the Dom Solanke model, because he came to Liverpool, had loads of expectation. But he's gone down to the Championship and scored like 15 goals this season for Bournemouth. So that's not a bad achievement for a young lad. I think if Brewster can do that next season for Sheffield United or wherever he is, he will certainly come back with bigger credentials than what he had previously.
I think I'm going to have to actually, I'm going to be like one of the ones to disagree again. I've gone for someone that cost quite big money, like more money than Ziyech, more money than Brewster. £40 million for someone that's barely featured in the squad, and that's Nathan Ake.
I completely forgot that guy existed, to be honest.
That is a fantastic shout.
He's done nothing all season. Like Ziyech had a couple of pockets of games where he was okay. Brewster, he's far too young. Nathan Ake was one of the most hyped signings of the summer, and they had to bring in Ruben Diaz because Ake has been absolutely abysmal. So I think it was about £40 million for someone who has either barely featured or when he has not been very good at all.
Yeah, completely forgot about that move altogether because he's been that trash.
The only thing I'd say is Man City can afford to make that mistake.
That's true.
If anyone was going to make that mistake, afford to do it, it is City. So they can just sell him off for 20 million next season back to Bournemouth. No problem.
Happy days.
Exactly. There you go. I wash my hands of Nathan Ake. We'll go on to the positive sides now. We'll have a look at the smiley side. The rose-tinted glasses are on for the next individual award. Overachiever of the year, someone that we may not, someone that we counted out at the start of the year, someone that we wanted to have, maybe have a good season, but we didn't quite think would be able to. Joe, who is the biggest overachiever in the Premier League this season?
I'm hoping I can get some back in here that this is a decent shout. I think it was more of a case of like a bit of a nothing signing that people were a bit like, oh, you know, he kind of went under the radar. I'm going to give it to Craig Dawson at West Ham. Mate, I'm not being funny. I think Craig Dawson this season it's been really good. I mean, Bonner's been good for him as well. But Craig Dawson, mate, what on earth? You know, as a kind of a last ditch kind of like random defensive sign to try and fill a hole. I think he's been absolutely fantastic, and that is testament again to Moyes. I think he really picked himself a good little player there. So short and sweet, but I'm going Craig Dawson. Speaks for itself.
That's definitely out of left field. That's definitely a hipster's choice there. Chris, go into the football hipster. Who have you gone for?
I've got two, because honestly, my decisiveness in this video is awful. I've got two. I've got Patrick Bamford. 15 goals in the Premier League, as I mentioned, ridiculous. And I've also gone for a Liverpool player. I've gone for Nat Phillips, okay? And it gets bantered, right? Because, you know, he's not great. He's very limited. He's got his ceiling, Mr. Nat Phillips, okay? But coming into this season, he was probably, you know, we're like, how on earth is he still at Liverpool? He just had a loan in the German second tier with Stuttgart. And then he would occasionally get on the bench for a Carabao Cup game, maybe. But I tell you what, he's come in. He's played at Old Trafford. He's played at the Emirates. He's played at Stamford. Well, no, he didn't play at Stamford Bridge, but he's played against Chelsea. He played well in that game. He played against Real Madrid. I mean, I don't know how that happened. Nat Phillips against Real Madrid.
But owned as well.
But it's that no, yeah. But that's because he's Nat Phillips. That's because he's Nat Phillips, though, isn't it? Like it's in terms of biggest overachiever. That's a man who probably should be playing in the Championship or in the lower echelons of the Premier League with Burnley or something. This man has done by far and away from what he probably ever thought he could achieve in football. And you know what? Fair enough to him. He's probably earned himself a little nice move away or a nice contract.
Nice move away to Hawaii, where he can have a little summer holiday before he comes back.
Yeah.
But I'm going to agree with one of those. Definitely not Nat Phillips. But I've gone for Patrick Bamford. I mean, I completely wrote him off this season as someone that will probably get loaned back to the Championship. But no, he proved me wrong. He scored against Liverpool as well. I think the first, was it the first game of the season?
Mm-hmm.
It was a really entertaining game that was. But yeah, he's been unbelievable, hasn't he? So, Haas, who have you gone for as overachiever?
I had, again, similar to Chris, I've got two because I can't make my mind up. So the one I picked, this is because I just expected nothing from him because he's been a nothing player for so bloody long. Jesse Lingard was one of them. I think he has grossly overachieved for what everybody expected him to do, considering how bad he was at United. So I don't think many expected him to go and literally light it up as he has. And, you know, if he continues that, if he stays at West Ham, who knows? Kudos to him. He's probably earned himself a spot on the plane to the Euros as well. So, you know, kudos to him. The other choice I had, and this is simply because I believe the man was absolutely washed, finished, ready for the retirement bin, was Gareth Bale as well. Didn't expect him to kind of do a steady job as he has. You know, I've long been saying that Madrid got rid of him 3 years too late. And that is because he had been way past his best for a long time. So, you know, he's gone to Spurs. He's contributed. I think he's got double digits for goals this season, which I didn't expect it to happen. Because I remember when he was barely getting into the squad, and I was literally tweeting out, you know, rubbing people's faces in it, saying, "Oh, it's nice to finally see the PL media have finally seen that Bale is washed." And you know, all those people saying, "Oh, Zidane's ruined his career." He was done. Finished. So it was nice to kind of see that, but then he's had a little bit of a resurgence. I just hope to God he stays there and doesn't come back. Please don't come back, Bale. Respect you for what you've done, but stay there.
Wales, Golf Madrid, and all that.
Stay there. Enjoy those golf courses in London. There's plenty of them.
Yeah, you can enjoy it with the expensive prices of London.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Knock yourself out. Stay there. It's fine. Like I said, respect massively what you contributed prior, but for the betterment of both sides of the party, you know, he needs to stay where he is. But yeah, I think he's definitely overachieved to what I expected of him at least this season.
All right. Well, we've done the worst signing, so it's only right that we did the best signing. Joe, who have you gone for the best signing of the league?
I'm going to try and put it out there across the board. Have we all gone for the same thing? we're going for Ruben Diaz.
I've got 2 because I knew that everyone would go for that.
Yeah. One's kind of cheating.
Well, yes, I've gone for Ruben Diaz. I'll get that out of the way.
Right, 2 for Ruben Diaz. I'm not saying anything more. It's Ruben Diaz. I want to talk to Chris and Haas. We've got these guys in. Let's see what they have to say.
Ladies first.
Yeah, mate.
Haas, you've got the long hair, so
That's true. That's true.
I also have the bigger beard.
And he hasn't got any ginger tinge in his beard. I have.
Actually, no, that's a lie. I do get a little bit, but it's only the beard.
Do you?
I pluck them out so they don't stay there.
I feel left out. I don't have one.
I've gone for Cavani because I genuinely, when he came, I don't know if it might be a bit of an overachiever one as well. I don't know if you remember, Reece, in the transfer window video, I said Cavani is completely and utterly, I don't understand why United signed him because, Martial was a golden boot favourite. And they had, Rashford, Greenwood. I thought it would halt Greenwood's progress, to be brutally honest, but he's found more load on the wing. But I genuinely think Cavani's had such a massive impact at United. He's provided the moment in certain areas where, maybe they wouldn't have won a game last year. Maybe they'd have drawn it or something like that. But no, it's amazing that he's got himself a new contract. It's a bit like Zlatan when he came. I thought he's truly dusted. But Cavani, as I said, still one of the best strikers in the league. And to get him for free, fair enough.
Uruguayan Archer. I can't disagree with that. Absolutely not. Haas, who have you gone for?
Chris has just made me now want 3. Because Cavani, I would have. Thing is, I've always had a strong, affection for Edison Cavani for a long time. I actually only really discovered who he was when I remember playing FIFA 12 when he was at Palermo, and he was just a monster. Napoli, not Palermo. He was in Napoli by that point. The 2 I had in mind were, I was going to say, this is the cheating one I'm going to name. Thomas Tuchel, I thought, was a great little poach by Chelsea. I thought that was a great little poach by Chelsea. Get rid of the absolutely overrated, ridiculously crap Frank Lampard, and get an actual coach who knows what he's doing. Great move. That was the top move by them. I'm not going to have 3, actually. We'll stick with those 2. But yeah, Thomas Tuchel and Edison Cavani would be mine.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Haas likes to bend the rules in this in this podcast. He's bending the rules. You're putting left wingers, putting strikers at left wing, putting coaches in best signings.
It's street smart.
Street smart.
Yeah. That's one word. That's one word for it, mate. That's one word for it.
That's like a footballer dive, isn't it? It's cheating, but gotta do it.
True. That is very true. Speaking of, obviously you've mentioned Tuchel. It wouldn't be, we've mentioned a lot about the players, but the managers need some love as well. So we'll go for the second, our penultimate award, going for best manager, the manager of the season. And Chris, who have you gone for? You had a little smirk on your face. Who have you gone for?
I'd love to go for Graham Potter.
I will walk off right now.
But I've got another one. I just think you can't ignore the Leeds United team this season. They've been refreshing. They play sexy football, high energy. Marcelo Bielsa every day of the week. I absolutely adore the man. I
wrote them off. I completely wrote them off.
Of course, you got David Moyes, which I'm sure some of you guys will say. And maybe his achievements are better, but Leeds are a newly promoted side. It's so difficult to stay in this league, but they've made it look so easy without playing shitty Brexit football. Mate, I'm just gassed that they're in the Premier League and that they're here to stay.
Yeah. Haas, who have you gone for?
2 great shouts in Chris and Moyes and Bielsa. Again, 2 coaches I had pretty much zero faith in at the time as well. Particularly Moyes. I just thought, why on earth have they done that? Because let's be frank, his last few stints in coaching have been pretty miserable. Particularly that one at Real Sociedad. But it's hard to ignore, isn't it? And it's a vanilla, boring choice, but it has to be Pep Guardiola for me.
I go with Pep Guardiola.
Pep Guardiola. At least he brought a Barca style of play. It's hard to ignore. I mean, just as you think he's put the bar in one place, he's gone and taken it and put it completely even further out of reach. Just unbelievable. I mean, considering the fact that City had a bit of a spluttery start, I thought he really did well to kind of right the ship in a sense, because it looked like his project was kind of petering out a bit. But he turned it around and he's made City look, I'd say, probably the best they have under him, which is bloody frightening.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, I think Pep Guardiola is kind of the vanilla choice because they are some of the. Oh, Chris, you're right.
Sorry, I didn't know Brighton beat Man City.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
but to be fair, I mean the season's over.
Get in. Sorry, Reece, continue.
Chris, it's too late to change it to Graham Potter.
Graham Potter's a better managerial mind than Pep Guardiola. Change my mind.
God.
That's,
Put
the timing on that.
Put this in the podcast.
The timing on that is impeccable.
I want this to be a clip on social media. Graham Potter's a better managerial mind than Pep Guardiola.
Oh, you're going to get slandered. Joe, who you gone for?
Again, I'll keep it short and sweet. It's already been mentioned. I'm going to go for David Moyes. I've been absolutely infatuated by this West Ham team this season. They've been playing some fantastic football. They've made some brilliant signings as well. I can't remember who said it earlier about the Czech league. I think it was Chris who mentioned it. Like, whoever's going over there for West Ham and is scouting that league, my God, absolutely incredible. And obviously they've got Declan Rice. They're going to make a lot of money on him when it comes to it. I think for me, West Ham, I'll give it to David Moyes. David Moyes has done a fantastic job there.
I kind of went for like a mixture of both Joe's and Haas's. Pep Guardiola, obviously, because they've just won the league. This is probably one of the best City sides that we've seen this is one of the best Premier League sides that we've seen ever.
And then Graham Potter.
he probably put the kids out. Leave Pep be. He's got no air. Let him have his moment. But yeah, I think David Moyes is probably more of an impressive story in terms of you've got a team at West Ham that were very much average last season, and they've just. I mean, the game that kind of turned it around was the COVID game where Moyes was there via a TV screen in Zoom, much like we are right now with managing the team there. So I think Moyes turned it around. He's much better light than since his downward spiral when he started managing Man United. He's finally back to where he should be, and I think David Moyes is definitely the has been one of the better stories of the season. So the last one, the final award that we're going to give out, the Premier League, the EPL Player of the Year, the Player of the Season. I think this there are quite some obvious choices, but we could have different choices. Joe, who have you gone for?
I said it earlier, mate. I said it very early in the podcast, but I'll come back at it again. İlkay Gündoğan. That's my personal player of the season. You could have gone for a lot at City. You could have gone for Ruben Diaz, would have also been an equally fantastic choice. But for me, it's been Gündoğan. Like I said, there was a period of time I couldn't turn on the TV without seeing that man score. And honestly, as somebody as comfortable as him in a team, sometimes you don't necessarily think he's going to get up and do those kind of things, but he's been absolutely fantastic. That's my personal shout. I think Bruno Fernandez, could have at one point probably been quite a big amount of a shout in there as well. Ruben Diaz, a lot of interesting players, but I'll go for Gündoğan. Sadly, I'll go for Gündoğan.
Haas, who have you gone for the EPL Player of the Season?
I'm going to go for Bruno again. I just feel like he's driven that United side forward literally by the scruff of their necks at times. I think you take him out of that team, that United project is miserable, to say the least. He's a leader on the pitch. I'd assume so. It's exactly the same in the dressing room. I just feel like he just brings that aura to that team that they've been missing for a long, long time. I've been saying it for a while. I mean, when you look back to when Pogba was signed for United, that was exactly what Bruno's doing now. Is exactly what you were expecting of Pogba in that period of time, and he's doing that now. All kudos to him, because I don't think anyone expected that of him. But he's come out, he's actually made their world record signing pretty much, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but irrelevant.
I can't, he's definitely been one of the best attacking players, one of the best attacking outlets in the league this season. Chris, who have you gone for?
I've heard this tag of football hipster, but I'm going to take a very, very unusually black and white look at this, right? Most goals in the league, Harry Kane. Most assists in the league, Harry Kane. How can it not be Harry Kane?
It's
Sound
worth
like Michael Owen.
isn't it?
Literally sound like Michael Owen.
Exactly. It can't not be Kane.
What, the most goals, so he's the best player.
but the thing is, right? Just think where Tottenham would be without Kane.
No, it's true. I can.
And a lot of people think, oh, but if you don't win the league, you can't win Player of the Season.
It's true,
No, it's about individuality. Harry Kane is the epitome of individuality. So, Harry Kane.
And Spurs at times can be known as like a one-man team, and especially if Son's not there, they are definitely a one-man team. They've got
It's like when Suarez was at Liverpool. Like
it's similar, yeah. It's
so reliant on Kane. It's untrue.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought this, my pick was going to be someone that was going to be, at least mentioned a couple of times, but no. I've gone with Ruben Diaz as the best player of the season. He's completely, when in a season where Aymeric Laporte has not been available, Ruben Diaz was brought in, and he definitely turned that City team around. We look back on the season and think City were dominating, but I mean Liverpool and Man United were both top at Christmas. City turned it around in the second half of the season. I put that down to Ruben Diaz and how he's helped a bang average John Stones look world class at times. Just because of the defensive coverage that he's given, he's been he's allowed João Cancelo to get up the pitch and create. And in terms of the entirety of the Man City defense has been unbelievable this season because of Ruben Diaz, in my opinion. And that's why I think player of the season does tend to glorify attackers a lot as goals, assists, and whatnot. I think a defensive player should potentially win this the player of the year this season.
He's nothing on Verge though, is he? Come on, boys.
We'll have to see. I think next season's going to be very interesting.
Virgil's not going to be, but Virgil's not going to, he's not going to return to what he was though. That's the thing.
Do you not think?
I think with an injury like this, it's very tough to come back from.
When you're a player who doesn't rely on pace, I think you're fine.
Well,
he doesn't rely on pace. He doesn't. He's got so much about him, Virgil van Dijk, and I know it's a completely other debate for another day. Ruben Diaz is much better at the actual defending, in my opinion. I think he's like a sort of a highlight reel defender. Where he, does a lot of the big last ditch tackles. Van Dijk doesn't need to do that. He makes defending look so easy. But you know what? It's a debate for another day. But I'm still Team Virgil.
In that sense, but the thing is, when you first come back, it takes a long time for you to get back in that rhythm.
Oh yeah, I know. But Diaz has only done it for one season, so we'll see.
I mean, to be honest, Ruben Diaz is only 24 as well. So I think that Ruben Diaz has potential to. Ruben Diaz has potential to become the greatest Premier League centre back of all time if he keeps up like this.
Crazy! It's crazy.
Absolutely, and that kind of rounds out the team of the season. We've gone through the team, we've gone through the best players, we've gone through the best managers, overachievers, disappointments, best signings, worst signings, cats, dogs. We've fought, we've argued, we've cried, we've sweat because it's boiling hot in these rooms with closed windows. And I think it's time to close out this podcast. Haas, Chris, I'll go to Haas first. Where can we find you on social media?
So just at the Haskrim on Twitter. That's the only place you'll find me on socials these days. Rambling and throwing out random bits of bobs here and there.
You've been a general miserable bastard.
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
And then we go to the positive outlook on life. Chris, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at Graham Potter fan page. No, at Chris Stonage on Twitter. That's STONADGE, not AGE. My name's not Stonage or Stone Age. It's Stonage. Get it right.
And all those will be in the link in the description, along with our social media links. And I'm going to throw it to Joe because Joe, you are the king of outros.
We sign it off, don't we? We sign it off. There we go, guys. A fantastic podcast today. Like we said, everything will be below. And if you are listening to this on your favorite streaming platform, Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, give us a little follow on there. And if you're watching on YouTube, give us the all-important like and subscribe. And also, if you want to get in touch with us on social media, it's Twitter at Pundits Average, Instagram and Facebook at The Average Pundits. And if you want to inquire to come on the podcast, give us a little email over at theaveragepundits@outlook.com. But as always, guys, thank you very much. Thank you, Reese. Thank you, Hass and Chris. It's been a pleasure having you on as always, guys. And we will see you next time.